Okay, welcome back to the blog, part 6. So where are we this week? It's now a bank holiday Monday, coming close to the end of bank holiday or Easter Monday. So hopefully, well, a lot's gone on. First off, as you can sort of see below you, as I'll cut to now, my chassis has been completely disassembled and it is now just on its own. So that was the job done on Saturday, try and get that all done and dusted, sorted out the way. Brilliant, all done, ready now to continue the fabrication. What we're waiting on now is a seat. Despite me having one here, it's a size 3 and unfortunately for me at the moment, I need a size 4. So we're waiting on a seat. Seat is coming, 2-week lead time, and then we can crack on with the chassis. However, one of the good things about taking apart the chassis was things you find, and it was no exception for me. A couple of things. So you can see these are the stub axles, the uprights. One of them, which you will not be able to hear, feels like it's running in sand, and the other one feels glass smooth. So obviously there is a bearing issue. So that's one of the things you do, you know, despite it looking like it's gone backwards, we've gone forwards, because the more I get into it, the more I know what has gone on, or what's specific with the kart, you know, the nuances of it and everything else. Yeah, there are a couple of other issues as well, mainly to do with rust and corrosion. So certain bearings and the like were sort of semi-seized into the chassis, and I would say I've sort of butchered them, but no, I've had to get them off, and they've come. While the bearing itself's been alright, the thread itself, the actual hexagonal nut that you wind it on with, has taken a bit of a beating on some of them. So it's not been all sweetness and light doing this, but kind of essential, because if you're ever in a pinch at the track and you need to take something off and it won't come off, you'd rather find out the issue now. So it's been very worthwhile doing. Yeah, one of the things I will say is that I have bagged, so instead of moving the camera I will get it. So where are we? Yeah, as you can see, several bags. And anytime you take anything like any equipment apart, any carb piece, engine or whatever else, it is so important to bag it up, to coin a phrase. So bag it up, get all the bolts and fixings in one packet, and that way when you come to reassembly, you'll not be going, is this the one? Is this the right one? Is it an M6, M8? Is it UNF? You're dealing with a much smaller subset of components, and it makes assembly that much faster. So obviously what I also promised you this week was about the actual race weekend. Now I went, and thanks to the lovely British weather, it was absolutely awful. The weather, that is, weather. Yeah, it was rainy, it was cold, it wasn't what you call ideal for any type of motorsport, any type of sport. But it was absolutely fantastic. I was made very welcome by everyone. Nothing held back. Everyone was really keen to show me their programs and what they'd done and how they got over certain problems. It was absolutely fantastic. I can't say any more than that. What I did notice was that the racing, I didn't go for the race day, that was Sunday, I went the Saturday. And everyone got out on track and was doing their own programs, but it was great, as I say, great to meet the competitors, and you know, it was a real team effort. Everyone helping get carts off trolleys and push starts and grabbing bits for them and moving off the pit lane, and you know, what we'll go through now is just, which will be on screen, is some of the photos that I took from the day, so you can see how the grid lines up and you know, the individual competitors, what they do, and despite me running around with a camera and taking shots of everyone, it was absolutely fine. So I tried to capture some of the day by doing it. By getting out there with the camera for you guys, and so you can sort of see what the day involves despite the weather. Yeah, it was a bit, you know, it was rainy. It was sort of classic British summer's day, really, bank holiday washout, whatever you want to call it. But it did nothing to stifle the spirits of the individuals involved. So as I say again, I was made so welcome. There was a barbecue, there was banter, there was, you know, talk about racing and what's going on with the new karts, and everyone really keen to you know, get involved in the atmosphere, and it was such good fun. Just even going as a, you know, sort of even as a spectator. So yeah, all I hope for and more. So what I will do is, if we go to what we'll do now, sorry, is I'll just put some footage that I took, little small clips of the karts driving around, so you can see what's going on. The main straight that they go down, that you'll see, that I stand down there, that you see me go past, only about 200 meters long, but they were up to about 80 miles an hour, just under 80 miles an hour, and that was in the wet. So, you know, you'd never get close to that in a car, so that's starting to give you some idea of the speeds involved. Again, I do need to do a video on all the stats of the car, but we will get to that later. But yeah, 80 mile an hour is going down the back straight, and then on the brakes and right hand turn. So yeah, fantastic weekend. Lots more to do, obviously, for myself now. It's sort of spurred me on, having been there and seen what's going on. So really need to crack on. As I say, there are some bits and pieces that I can do in the meantime, in terms of the repairing some of the I'm most certainly going to do that now. I've actually pulled that right. In terms of the side rails, which have, I don't know if you can see that, are broken, so I'll look at rewelding that. But apart from that, we are waiting on a seat. So until that happens, we'll see what we can do. Last thing to sign off. Last week I spoke about my ARCS test, and I mentioned about my ARDS test. So two differences. So the ARCS is the Association of Racing Car Schools, and ARDS is the Association of Racing Driver Schools. Now, having done my ARDS and my National B race license, I actually found out that I didn't need to do my ARCS. I could have just turned up to any kart event, showed me National B race, and been allowed to participate in a karting event, which is kind of understandable, but then not understandable. So this is from the MSA, by the way, so I thought I'd mention it now because no one knew. There are a couple of flags that are different in karting compared to full car racing. So, and if you don't know what they mean, yeah, kind of strange, but you know, I did the written anyway and passed it last week. But just, you know, if any of you guys do have your ARDS license, you won't need your ARCS. You can just turn up and go. So yeah, I think that concludes it for today. You know, there's been footage there. Great weekend. Oh, quick note before I always do this. Always think about something before I go. But yeah, Neil, who we saw last week, who gave us the interview, he had a good weekend with his new chassis. Loves the handling of it. Had a bit of a gearbox issue, and didn't finish too well. I think he had a couple of 7th places due to him not being able to select third gear properly. The racing, hey. But yeah, he loved his new chassis, so it was good to see him up and running amongst the other competitors of the met, of course. So yeah, that will conclude it for this week. Next week, what we're going to have done, I don't know. Like I say, I'm still waiting on the seat, so we'll see what we can do, see how busy I am. I've got to do some work on my big car, because you know the age-old adage of if it ain't broke, fix it till it is has come true. But hopefully Sunday I'll have John coming round and we can crack on some more with getting the chassis ready. But yeah, please, if there's anything you want me to focus on in the upcoming vlogs, please let me know, leave me some comments, tell me what you want, and I'll make sure I include it. But for now, see you next week. Bye bye.